In Arizona, trust me on this one, the real estate market in Arizona is probably the worst in the country right now. And banks, I mean, the only reason you're getting any, if you can call it good news out of the real estate market, is because banks aren't foreclosing on homes. They're keeping them on the books. See, if a bank forecloses, then it's got to write that off. So rather than write it off, they're not foreclosing on these homes. So it's just sitting on the bank's books as an asset.
I would hate to be the individual living in one of these houses to know that I'm going to be dispossessed next week or next month or whenever the bank feels that they can start putting the squeeze and dumping these things off of the books. This is an ugly situation. All right, we'll take the break here. Joe, Mike, and others, hang on. 800-313-9443. We'll roll your calls right after the top of the hour break. 800-313-9443. Stay tuned. Second hour of the National Intel Report. I'm so glad to have Bob back. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, second hour of the National Intel Report. And that's right. If you're just now tuning in, where were you last hour? Covered a lot of important information. It is the 28th of July, 2009, and Bob Chapman is with us, Robbie Noel, and yours truly. Let's go right to the phones. Joe in, is that Arizona or Arkansas? Arkansas. Hello, Joe.
Hey, good afternoon. Is this the two knuckleheads and the one on probation?
No probation, and I dare you to call them knuckleheads to their face.
2 weeks ago, you forgot my questions.
Well, you're here now 2 weeks later, so ask your questions.
I thought I had good questions, too, but I don't know now. I wanted to ask Bob if he could elaborate more on the bank holiday, if he has any more information on it.
Well, a possible bank holiday is a possible projection. And as far as I'm concerned, it's based upon the fact that I think, and there are some others who are not in my camp within Wall Street who also share this, who are very good at what they do, that the dollar should visit before the end of October, although they think before the end of the year, that the dollar should revisit its low on the USDX index at 71.18. It's currently around 79, and it was 89.5 a few months ago. And I think the turmoil that happened about a year and a half ago externally, that is in other countries, where business people would not accept dollars or American Express or credit cards that were dollar denominated. And that, this time, I think is going to cause great consternation and crisis. And I think the government's going to use that as an excuse to trial run a very short-term, maybe 3 to 5 day bank closures, and that means you're not going to be able to run a check or use an ATM card or a credit or debit card or take money out of your account at the bank. And I think that's going to be a trial run for the big one, which is probably a year or so down the line when the United States government has a big meeting with all the other governments and they decide to devalue and revalue currencies, a meeting such as we had in the early 70s, which is the Smithsonian meetings, and then the Plaza Accord in 1985, which was the Plaza Hotel in Paris. And I think there's going to be a major realignment of currencies later, but not now. I think it's at least 6 months away and maybe as long as 2 years. But it is going to happen. And it's probably 6 months to a year away because I don't know that they can hold the dollar on the USDX at 71.18. And so we're in for big trouble. And I've written in this issue for tomorrow, I've said that in the next 2 months, you want to take advantage of these preposterously low prices for gold and silver because if the dollar breaks 71.18, financially everything's going to break loose.
All right, Mike, hang on a second. Is Mike gone? Or I'm sorry, he is? Okay. He waited 2 weeks and he jumped off. Okay. We'll take the break. We'll be right back.
Get ready for Real Talk Radio. You're listening to the National Intel Report with your host, John Stadtmiller.
I wanted to make mention here, Tom DeWeese, which he and I were together at the Jekyll Island Conference. Freedom 21 National Conference. This is the 10th annual. And this is going to be up in Oklahoma City. Kind of picked this right in the center of the country to make it easier for, well, the entire country to come to the middle of the country. As I said, 10th annual Freedom 21. And this is going to be in Oklahoma City. And I'll give you the guest list here. Who the keynote speaker is going to be, G. Edward Griffin. But Chuck Baldwin's going to be there, Catherine Bleich, Senator Randy Brogdon, Dan Blyfield, Michael Chapman, Dr. Michael Kaufman, of course, Tom DeWeese. I'll be co-hosting that event with Tom. Representative Charles Key from Oklahoma, Mark Lerner, Dr. Jeff Marangeli, Mark Moreno, Dr. Jane Orient, Larry Pratt, Alan Quist from EdWatch, Representative Sam Rohr, which I met down there at the last one last year, Bob Schultz from We the People Foundation, Mike Shaw from Freedom Advocates, Amanda Tiergarten, Scott Tips, Patrick Wood of the August Review, and, of course, Jim Worthing. He's a master entertainer. He was there last year. Very good. So, folks, this is coming up August 13th, 14th, and 15th in Oklahoma City. Go to freedom21.org and sign up for this thing. I talked to Tom just minutes before the show today. Tickets are going fast, and he is more than pleased. It's going to be a better turnout than last year, even though last year the economy was in better shape. People are concerned. This is not just a meet, eat, and retreat group, ladies and gentlemen. This lets you know what's really going on, and more importantly, who you can team up to do something about it. So I'm very pleased to be with Tom DeWeese from the American Policy Center co-hosting this event, Freedom 21, and that's August 13th, 14th, and 15th in Oklahoma City. Thank you very much. By the way, I misspoke. Joe in Arkansas, thank you for your call. Let's go to Mike in Minnesota. Hello, Mike.
Hi. My question is for Bob Chapman.
Go ahead.
And, well, I read years ago Agenda 21, and I've been following up on things since then. I'm looking at what's going on right now with this exercise across our nation. For all intents and purposes, our nation is already bankrupt, and the Chinese or Russians or nobody else is going to fund Social Security for the next 20 years or fund anything else in America. That understood, not to sound conspiratorial, but we have this forced flu vaccination, the possibility of that happening, where everybody will be forced to get a bad shot, and the economy collapsing. I mean, the dollar out and out. I've heard that Congress has put money aside, quite a bit of it, to build bunkers, things of that nature for themselves, because they're terrified of economic collapse and what the people would possibly do to them or to bankers, whatever, when they were dispossessed of everything in the world. And do you see anything in this, Bob?
I think everything that you say is in process. I mean, look at the exercises that are going on this week. Foreign troops in our soil. People in Oklahoma City have reported in that doesn't look like these people are going to leave. And so we'll see. And the people in power know that they're going to have a very difficult time getting the military of the United States to obey unlawful orders. And that's why they have foreign troops here. Incidentally, they're running around with blue helmets, which I think is terrific because they make real good targets.
And how many people did you hear Bob say, well, I'm not going to pull out ye old trusty gun until I see blue helmets running around?
Well, you've got them now, kids, so lock and load.
Mike, anything else?
Well, it's pretty much about it. One other thing with this exercise, my understanding is all people involved in this exercise have been told to put everything on hold for the next 18 months. In other words, don't plan on any vacation trips, this, that, or nothing, that they are to be on standby for the next year and a half.
And the emphasis being put on anti-government and domestic terrorist types.
Exactly. So, I mean, I'm looking at Vietnam here in the sense in Vietnam that was